They say you're not supposed to get emotionally attached to things, right? Stuff is just stuff. Cars are just metal, rubber, and bad financing decisions. That's what people love to say when it's not their blood, sweat, and 4 straight years of microwave dinners parked in that driveway. But let me tell you something. When someone looks at the one thing you worked half a decade for and decides, yeah, I'm going to destroy that just to prove a point, you don't just shrug it off. You don't take the high road. You don't post some sad quote on Instagram and move on with your life. No, something inside you flips. And once that switch flips, it doesn't turn off easily. So before I even get into this real quick, drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. I always love seeing how far these stories travel, because this one started in the most boring, copy-paste suburban cul-de-sac you could imagine and somehow turned into an all-out legal war. My name's Marcus. I'm 32. I work in IT. Nothing flashy. No trust fund, no crypto lottery win. Just a laptop, long overtime hours, and a deeply unhealthy relationship with budgeting apps. And parked in my driveway that summer was my dream. A slate gray Phoenix R8, 2-door, mid-engine, riding so low it could scrape a leaf if the wind blew wrong. Sticker price just under $100,000. Yeah, I know. I've been obsessed with that car since I was 22. Sitting on my bed at 2 in the morning, headphones on, watching exhaust sound compilations like other guys watch adult content. I knew every spec, every trim package, every reviewer's opinion. I used to whisper, one day, and one day took 4 years. 4 years of no vacations, no splurges, no treat-yourself moments, no new phone, no designer anything. I drove a 2008 Honda Civic that rattled like it was possessed. The AC only worked on Tuesdays. The radio was permanently stuck on a Christian station, and I'm not even religious. But I didn't complain, because every month I watched that savings account inch upward. Slow, painful, beautiful. Then finally, one Friday afternoon, I signed the papers, hands shaking like I was getting married, and drove home. Slow, careful, windows down, letting the engine sing just enough. When I pulled into the cul-de-sac, my neighbor Dylan, cool guy, gamer, lives 2 houses down, literally ran out with his phone, already recording. Bro, no way. You actually did it. We stood there for 10 minutes just staring at it, walking slow circles like it was a museum, admiring the curves, the matte finish, the way the sunlight hit the hood just right. It didn't feel real. It felt like I'd hacked life. Like all those years of saying no finally turned into yes. What I didn't know was that across the street, behind half-closed blinds, stood a woman who was about to make that car her personal enemy. Her name was Elaine Porter, mid-50s, HOA board member, not the president, not officially in charge of anything major, but she acted like she owned the block. Blonde bob haircut that never moved, always perfectly pressed slacks, always clutching a clipboard like she was auditing the neighborhood. She never smiled, not once. She just stood there that day, sunglasses halfway down her nose, staring at my driveway like my car had personally insulted her ancestors. I waved. She turned around and went inside. No nod, no words, nothing. At the time, I thought, whatever. Some people are just miserable. That was my mistake, because from that day on, she became present. Too present. I'd come home from work. She'd be watering plants across the street, staring. I'd leave in the morning. She'd be checking her mail, staring. She'd creep past in her beige Prius, phone in one hand, notebook in the other, writing things down like my driveway was a crime scene. I caught her once crouched near my driveway pretending to inspect a crack in the sidewalk, a crack that had been there for a decade. Then, 2 weeks later, she made her move, Saturday morning, 9:12 a.m. I remember because I just poured coffee. Knock, knock, knock. Aggressive. I opened the door and there she was, clipboard, pen, tight smile. Marcus, she said, already irritated. We need to talk about that. She pointed past me at the car. Your vehicle is disruptive, she said. It's loud. It's flashy. It lowers property values. It damages the aesthetic we've worked very hard to maintain. I blinked. I drive it to work, I said. I don't rev it. I don't race. I park in my driveway. It's legal. She sniffed. A more appropriate vehicle would be recommended. Something cleaner. A hybrid. A Tesla would be ideal. She said Tesla like it was a moral classification. I almost laughed, because here's the thing. I'd read the HOA bylaws. All 87 pages. Because I'm that guy. I knew exactly what was allowed. Sports cars weren't banned. Noise violations? Nope. Parking rules? Nope. Modifications? Nope. I was compliant to a ridiculous degree. So I said calmly, with respect, Elaine, I'm within the rules. Her smile vanished instantly. This neighborhood is about harmony, she said, not status symbols. Then she turned and walked away. From that moment on, it stopped being about rules. It became about control. Over the next month, the notices started showing up. Anonymous complaints, vehicle disturbance, visual pollution, community concern, all unsigned, all nonsense. And every single time, Elaine would just happen to be nearby when I read them, watching, smirking. I ignored it because I assumed adults didn't escalate over cars. I was wrong. 3 weeks after the last warning, I came home late from an HOA meeting she'd scheduled and mysteriously skipped, and my stomach dropped. Red spray paint across my rear windshield. Big block letters. I warned you. All 4 tires flat. / side mirrors ripped apart. Hanging by wires. It didn't look like vandalism. It looked like an attack. My hand started shaking, actually shaking. I dropped my keys. I couldn't breathe. I pulled up my security footage, and there she was. Hoodie, gloves, spray can, knife, calm, methodical, like she'd practiced. Before leaving, she flipped off the camera. In that moment, it stopped being about a car. It became about dignity, about boundaries, about someone deciding they had the right to destroy something I built just because it offended them. And standing there in the dark, staring at that footage, I made a promise to myself. This wasn't ending quietly. Not for her. Not for me. Not for anyone. Quick pause here, because this is where a lot of people watching would say, dude, just call the cops, file insurance, and move on. And sure, in theory, that sounds simple. In reality, this is where situations either get handled intelligently or explode because emotions take over. In HOA communities, the first response is almost always denial. The board closes ranks. Nobody wants police reports tied to their neighborhood. They'd rather pressure you to drop it and keep the peace. Translation: protect the system, not the victim. Legally speaking, what Elaine did wasn't minor vandalism. Once damage crosses a few $100s, especially tires, paint, mirrors, specialty finishes, it escalates fast. Now you're talking criminal charges. Now you're talking restitution. Now you're talking court. And this is where psychology matters. People like Elaine don't see themselves as villains. In their minds, they're guardians, protectors. They convince themselves that breaking rules is justified if it serves their version of order. It's control wrapped in morality. Power dressed up as responsibility. That's why she didn't hide. That's why she flipped off the camera. She truly believed she was untouchable, backed by the HOA, backed by community values, backed by years of nobody challenging her. At that point, I had 2 choices. React like a wounded animal, angry, reckless, emotional, or respond like someone who understood the game. I chose the second option. And that choice changed everything. After that night, after watching Elaine Porter destroy my car with the calm focus of someone trimming hedges, I didn't really sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, phone in hand, replaying the footage over and over, zooming in, slowing it down, pausing on her face like I was studying an enemy in a movie trailer. Anger kept trying to take control. Every 5 minutes my brain screamed, "Go knock on her door right now." And every 5 minutes I shut that thought down. Don't be stupid. Don't give her ammunition. So instead, at 7:43 a.m., I called Victor Reynolds, the best attorney in town for civil disputes and property damage. No billboards. No TV ads. Just deadly calm. He watched the footage once. Didn't blink. Didn't react. Leaned back and said, "Yeah, That's her. This is going to hurt. Music to my ears. We broke it down frame by frame, timestamp by timestamp. Her posture, her gait, her hairline under the hood, the grip she used on the spray. The same grip she used holding a pen at meetings. No deniability. Then came the numbers. 4 high-performance tires, $920. Custom mirror housings, $1,350. Specialized matte repaint and detailing, $6,800. Rental car for 3 weeks, $2,100. Security upgrades, $600. Towing diagnostics, fees. By the end, we were just shy of $13,000. Victor nodded. This isn't small claims, he said. This is real court. Criminal court, too. So we filed everything. Police report, insurance claim, civil complaint, full evidence package within 48 hours. And then I waited. And while I waited, I did something else. I stopped being quiet. The next HOA meeting rolled around. Thursday night. Community center. Folding chairs, burnt coffee, stale donuts that tasted like regret. Elaine was there early. Front row, clipboard on her lap, arms crossed, wearing that satisfied expression, like she already thought this was over. When new business came up, I stood. My heart was hammering. My palms were slick. Hi, I said. I'd like to share something with everyone. I plugged in my laptop. The projector flickered. White screen. Then her face filled the wall. Hoodie up, spray can in hand, knife glinting, my driveway unmistakable. Dead silence. No coughing, no whispering, no chairs creaking. Just shock. Elaine froze. Her mouth opened. Her pen slipped from her fingers and clattered to the floor. That's fake, she blurted. That's edited. This is harassment. I was protecting the community. Protecting it with a knife. Victor stood up in the back. Didn't raise his voice. Under state law, he said, this qualifies as felony vandalism. Charges have already been filed. You could literally watch the color drain from her face. 2 days later, police knocked on her door in front of half the neighborhood. Summons. Court date. No clipboard. No authority. Just consequences. And that's when people started talking. Neighbors who'd stayed silent for years. Oh, yeah. She harassed me about my fence. She tried to find me over garden lights. She threatened to tow my son's car. A pattern formed. She wasn't a protector. She was a bully with paperwork. Court day came faster than I expected. Small courthouse. Beige walls. Cheap with benches. Elaine walked in wearing pearls and a forced smile, like she thought charm was a legal defense. It wasn't. Victor laid everything out clean and simple. The video, the invoices, her HOA emails complaining about my status symbol, her notes, her warnings, her motive control. The judge leaned forward and stared at her. You used a volunteer position to justify criminal behavior, he said. That is an abuse of trust. Gavel, conviction. She was ordered to pay $13,750. Repairs, rental, legal fees, restitution, plus probation, community service, 30 days suspended jail time, and a warning mispayments and assets get seized. She never looked at me. Not once. 2 months later, her house went dark. Blinds shut, mail piling up. Then one morning, a moving truck showed up, and by sunset, she was gone. No goodbye. No apology. No explanation. Just absence. One quiet evening after that, I drove my Phoenix R8 around the block. New tires. Flawless paint. Engine humming. Neighbors waved. Someone actually clapped. I parked, shut off, and sat there for a minute, finally breathing. The fight was over, and I'd won without becoming her. After everything settled, after the lawyer stopped calling, after court paperwork stopped landing in my mailbox, after my driveway went back to being just a driveway, I started thinking about what really happened. Not just the vandalism, not just the money, not just the drama, the bigger picture. Because on the surface, this looks like a story about a woman who hated a sports car. But it wasn't. It was about power. It was about insecurity. It was about someone watching another person achieve something and feeling smaller because of it. Elaine never once asked me about the car. Never said, "How do you afford that?" Never said, "That's impressive." Never showed curiosity. Only judgment, only resentment, only rules. And that tells you everything. Some people don't hate what you have. They hate what it represents. To her, that car wasn't transportation. It was proof she didn't get to decide everything. Proof the world didn't revolve around her clipboard. And that terrified her. The real lesson here is that most conflicts, neighborhoods, workplaces, families, friendships, aren't actually about the thing you're arguing over. It's rarely about noise or parking or paint color or trash cans. It's about control. It's about who feels seen, who feels respected, who feels powerless, and who's trying to fix that feeling in unhealthy ways. From a legal standpoint, this reinforced something most people learn too late. Documentation is power. Cameras, emails, receipts, records, timelines. When things go sideways, emotions don't save you. Evidence does. I didn't win because I was louder. I didn't win because I was tougher. I won because I was prepared. And because I didn't let anger make decisions for me. HOAs are supposed to protect property values and community harmony. That's the theory. In reality, they're groups of imperfect humans with a little authority. And any time humans get authority without accountability, problems follow. That doesn't mean all HOAs are evil. It means you should never assume they're automatically on your side. You still have to know your rights. You still have to read the rules. You still have to advocate for yourself. And here's the psychological part that stuck with me the most. This is a trap. When someone treats you unfairly, your instinct is to clap back, to embarrass them, to escalate. It feels good. It feels powerful. It feels justified. And it usually destroys your case. Restraint is boring. Restraint doesn't go viral. Restraint doesn't feel heroic. But restraint wins. Every time. I also learned something uncomfortable about myself. Part of me enjoyed winning. Not in a healthy way, but in a petty, see what happens when you mess with me way. And I had to sit with that. Because obsession with revenge is how you slowly become the person you hate. Elaine lost her house, her reputation, her social circle, her authority. I got my car fixed, my money back, and my peace. One of those outcomes lasts. The other doesn't. So if you're watching this and dealing with an HOA nightmare, a controlling neighbor, or someone who thinks they get to micromanage your life, hear this. You're not powerless, but you're also not required to go to war. Know the rules. Document everything. Stay calm. Get advice early. And don't let someone else's insecurity rewrite your story. Because real success isn't flexing. It's freedom. It's sleeping at night. It's pulling into your driveway without tension in your chest. It's living without constantly looking over your shoulder. And now I'm curious. Have you ever had a nightmare neighbor? An HOA horror story? Someone who tried to control something that wasn't theirs? Drop it in the comments. Let's talk. Because if there's one thing I've learned, it's that you're never the only one. And sometimes telling the story is how you take the power back.